Good morning, guys. How are you doing today? First of all, I want to say very special thank you for the people who are watching my videos, okay, right? Sharing my videos, okay? And the people who are, very special things, through all my subscribers on YouTube, right? It's very important. Today, I want to discuss about, something important when you talk about training, in natural bodybuilding, right? It's important to clarify one thing: natural bodybuilding, healthy lifestyle training, healthy lifestyle habits, I should say, right? It's all the same, okay? You're training for your health, right? You're training to get, to grow, right? To get better, to be a better person as well, I want to talk about it, I have a discussion with people who have been training for many years. And this morning I thought about that topic, lower sets or higher sets, high volume training or low volume training. What is the best? What works, what it works the best, for you guys, okay, for you guys. And I want to talk about my personal experience here, okay. I'm a guy from the 80s, okay. Started training, starting to lift back in 1985 at the age of 14 years old. I'm 54 now, so I'm 54, yeah. So I don't see the life, flying by. So the years and the years and the years, and I've been, lifting for 40 years now, 40 years. 40 years of my life, natural, yeah, no pads, no anabolic steroids, nothing at all about that shit. No growth hormones, no SARMs, nothing, only foods and foods, supplements. And I can tell you one thing, right from the start, if you want to get big, if you want to get strong, it takes a genetics. It takes a good genetics and, a good way of living, right? Good way of living, okay? Personally, right? Personally, you need to sleep well, right? Eating right, being well hydrated. Food supplement, it helps, right? It helps, right? And you don't use at all, and you don't smoke cigarettes. Yeah, that's basically what I'm telling you. It's very simple. Very simple. I experienced in the both, right? I remember back in the 90s, was working, with a high volume training, over 1 hour, spent in the gym, every single training, and for example, 10 to 12, sets for the chest, 10 to 12 sets, even 15 sets for the legs, right? Okay, just to give you, a brief example about, the way I used to work, right? Okay, and if you are natural, it takes 3 times longer, to recuperate, between each training session, right? Each workout session. And today, when you're over 40, over 45 years old, I'm 54 right now. So what I do experience, and what I do live actually is lower sets, low volume training, it works better than, high volume training, as long as you keep, your intensity high, that's what I do, intensity high, I reduce my weight, right? I don't, lift heavy, even if back time I was lifting heavy, because lifting heavy, it gives you, if you want to get just stronger, if you want to improve your strength, right? You need to lift heavy, that's right, and it works with a chart, you work in strength, work in mass, it takes, it takes a good load, it takes a good load, you need to adjust, your weight properly, and you need to lift heavy, especially if you work, in a progressive overload system. It's really important for that, 12, for example, 12 reps, 10 reps, 8 sets, 8 reps, and lower than, even lower than 8 reps, you increase your charge, right? Yeah, you increase your weight, and it takes that, you need, but the principle is always the same, we always listen, always keep the same, always be the same, right? You need, you need to create, enough stress on your muscle, you need enough stimulation to keep your muscles growing, right? Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I trained yesterday, and the way I train today is really different than it used to be, right? Yeah, I'm 54 years old, and my goal is just about, to maintain a shape, right? And I'm thinking, where I'm gonna be in 10 or 15 years, 20 years from now, if I'm still alive, right? And I'll be training as well, right? I want to save my joints, right? Because when you're putting, weights and charge, you're lifting heavy, you're adding extra pressure on your joints. And I can tell you, it's really true, right? I look at my right knee's conditions today, and I've been doing a lot of sports as well, right? Like hockey, and running, jumping rope and stuff like that, right? Yeah, where I had impact on my knees, and today my knees, that's why you see me here. I'm lifting, I'm just doing squat with my only with my body weight, that's enough for me, I'm thinking smart, and I have to think smart, Get back about the type of here, low volume training, okay, or high volume training. If you're a natural athlete, okay. Today what I'm trying to do, okay, and it's the same thing, the same thing in the people I know, right? Within, including cardio, within 1 hour are the best, best workout. Yeah, best workout. Yeah, within 1 hour. You don't go over 1 hour. And right here, in my apartment, right, where I have my home stuff here, right, I'm training, 40 minutes, between 40 and 1 hour, per every training session, okay. What I like to do is a total body workout just to maintain the shape, okay. Let me repeat you again, right, because I got some comments about guys, say you don't lift heavy. No, I don't need to lift heavy. Just enough, to keep, good contractions on my muscle, when when I'm performing my, my exercises. That's enough to create, a great stimulation, okay. And I feel a really good pump, okay. Yeah, that's right. We all have different goals, right? We all hold different, as human being, right? As an athlete, and it's important to respect that. Yesterday I curled with 20 pounds, right? 20 pounds, and I feel my muscle, right? I do more, I had juice, to add more weight, but the way I was working, in superset, right? And I did an overbody before. It wasn't enough that day. Yeah, you have to think smart. And the smarter you are, greater your chances are, to achieve success. In your training, If you're a natural athlete, okay, right? Remember, I wanted to remember you one thing, it's a really, really long distance marathon, and you are running a long distance marathon, and it's important, to respect that, right? It takes time and time, yeah, and years of dedication, right? Disciplines, okay, and good foods in the recovery. That's right. It's really important. I guess, I responded to the question I wanted to tell you, right? To talk about the typing, okay? High volume training versus, low volume training, okay? That's right. Yeah, that's right. Within 1 hour, 40 minutes to 1 hour, all the best training session, okay? With good intensity. That's right. And here, I simply gave myself the opportunity to have peace of mind in my, when I'm training over here. More equipment are coming up. I'm gonna buy other stuff here, yeah. And I'm all by myself. When you train, don't waste your time, right? You have to calculate, your break, your rest, right? And then you go, right? Yeah. It's like, it's a car, like a worker, getting in the factory. You're punching in, with your car, and you're punching out. And you're not there, to waste your time, right? You need to keep your intensity high, right? Respect your break, respect your limit, and then bang, you go. You do the job, get the job done, right? That's what I do here. That's what I do here. Okay? Sometimes I train, and here, but I'm not recording. It's 35 minutes, on two muscles group, right? Two muscles group, and I don't go over 6 sets, 5 or 6 sets, per muscle group, and it works, I'm telling you guys, I have more result today, at 54 years old, working my lower sets, lower sets than higher sets, high volume training if you prefer. More result that way, because I feel the recuperation, right? The way I recover is a way better, so much better than what it used to be before when I used to work, with the high volume training. I know other people talk about it, on YouTube and stuff like that. But here, it's from my own personal experience as a natural athlete who's been training for many years, right? I'm telling you, it's better this way. It's better. I stick around 1 or 2 exercises, by muscular part, right? Per each muscular part, and it works. It works better that way, right? Better that way. Remember back in 17 and 80s, if we talk about, body chemical building, which is another, there are people, those athletes are completely in another world, right? And that's correct for them, right? I don't, support that, but it's correct for them. Mike Menzer, for example, Mr. Heavy Duty, it's a guy from England, right? Passed away, right, at the age of 49 years old. And you talk about, the other one, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and the both of them, they hated each other. Schwarzenegger was working, always, with, high volume training. Mike Menzer, okay, Mr. Heavy Duty was working, back then with, a low volume training, a very low volume training. And he was saying back then, that he had better result that way. That's right. As long as you just, and then I would close, with a discussion about Mike Menzer and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, but if it works for Menzer that way, better. And the guys, the guy were chemical athletes, right? Pardon me. You compare the fact that just for a natural athlete, it takes three more times, 3 times longer to recuperate, fully. Pardon me. It must be true. It must be true for the for natural athletes, considering the fact that it takes more time to recuperate for a natural athlete, 3 times, 3 times more times about than a chemical athlete who's using roids, and other stuff, right? It's really, you think about it, it makes sense. Have a great day, guys. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening to this video here. Unfortunately, I'm like you. I'm watching stuff on YouTube, and I see a lot of things, a lot of bullshit. I would say that, a lot of bullshit. Okay. And kids, okay, people are the beginners, they're watching stuff, influencer on YouTube, and they believe it, Here's no bullshit. It's really, from my own personal experience. Personal experience. That's the way I see it. Okay. Have a great day. Thank you very much, and remember, stay healthy, guys. Stay healthy. If you're healthy, right? It's the most important things you have in your life. With love. Thank you.